Blood Money, episode 68 with John Paul Moran. Making the Rotten Tomatoes app to expose the rotten politicians. All right, we're on the next episode of Blood Money. Today I have a very special guest, John Paul Moran. How you doing, sir?
Good, man. Thank you for having me on tonight.
Awesome, sir. So I met you at the Reawaken Festival a few weeks back, and you seem like you're doing a lot of fascinating things. I mean, let's just dive right into your background. Tell us a little bit about what got you here, and obviously leading to the big headline here with this amazing app that you're putting together.
Well, thank you, and thanks again for having me. And my goal now is to get the word spread out about what my mission's been and what we do at GOUSA. GOUSA stands for Grand Opportunity USA. So that's the official name, is Grand Opportunity USA. And I'm basically a pissed off American. I blame a lot of it on Thomas Jefferson because there's something in his blood that goes down through my veins that makes me hate authority. And I just have this incessant need to stand for the voice of the average American and an absolute contempt for anybody that messes with our country, our Constitution, our liberties, our freedoms. And it's just built into me from a very young age. So this is perfect for me on what I do. And everybody I work with has the same kind of mentality. We want to just fight for what America is supposed to be, which is the land of the free, land of opportunity. So that's the big picture why I'm doing this. I ran for Congress in 2020. I've got a very interesting background, I'd say, and not your average, follow the rules. I kind of break the rules everywhere I went. And this was a kind of a natural fit for me, creating what we think is going to be it's set up to be the ultimate Yelp for politics, which how bad do we need that right now?
Yeah, totally. And so your background, how did it feed into what you ultimately did with this app in terms of the journey that you went through, that you're like, you know what, man, we need this right now, which you mentioned that this is Rotten Tomatoes of the political world. What made you arrive at that juncture?
Well, there's a lot of ingredients, I guess, from it. It's probably you put everything I've done in my life, you put it into a blender, and this is the output. Because without all the things I've done, I wouldn't have gotten to this place, I guess. And I mean, I was like an entrepreneur from a very young age, sign painter. I paid my way through college through being a track athlete and a painter, designer, sign painter, all these things. I have this creative marketing streak, and I'm like, that got me to the point where I where I said there's something wrong from a capitalist perspective, from a market perspective. You make a product that everybody wants and people buy it. You make a crappy product and people don't buy it and you go out of business. That's kind of what Yelp does. To help businesses. You get a bad review, people don't go to your restaurant, you're out of business. There's nothing a restaurant owner fears more than a bunch of bad Yelp reviews, because they will be out of business. Same with the bad Rotten Tomatoes. You can have a $300 million movie, but if you get a 10 on a score of 100 from Rotten Tomatoes from the audience, nothing in the world is going to save that movie. There's no amount of money to advertise. And that's why I said, why the hell is that for politics? We have all these horrible, stupid, arrogant, really dumb people. I ran for Congress. I couldn't believe how many people are just very dumb. I mean, they're running our country, and they're they're jerks, and they're stupid. But they're just without power and control, and that's why they're in those positions. And it's so corrupt. I'm like, why aren't we firing them like we fire them when all these other apps out there? I'm like, there's got to be a better way. So that's the ultimate genesis of how I got to where I'm at. Plus, I'm an engineer at MIT. I was an engineer at MIT, and the reason why I think that's important is because engineers solve problems. We just have our brain is wired. There's a problem. We engineer a way to solve it. Instead of whining and complaining, there's nothing we can do, and let's just go to the street and hold signs and yell and get mad. That's not going to make any difference. What you've got to do is you got to engineer a solution. So all this put together is what helped create this OppScore. Plus, I ran for Congress, and I saw the dumpster fire that is absolute horrible. So, I mean, it's a dumpster fire. It's like a dumpster on fire. That's all I thought when I ran for Congress. I'm not a politician. I ran because my great uncle Thomas Jefferson, he was like, everyday people should be in office. That's the founding fathers' philosophy. I said, I'll follow suit. I went in there. I'm like, what a bunch of corrupt jerks.
Yeah. Yep, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, it's definitely gotten to a point where it's almost like people that are clearly incompetent and are not very smart, don't have the greatest IQs, are selected and encouraged to run for these. Because I don't know how else you get that many. I mean, you could say they're either stupid or they're power hungry, and I tend to think they're really just power hungry, and they're probably not the most genius level individuals that they push in there, and those people seem to be doing their bidding. So what you're talking about in terms of like a Rotten Tomatoes of rating these folks, I mean, it's brilliant on its face, but how do you manage something that monolithic? I mean, how do you really keep tabs with every single individual and really dissect all these folks that are either running for office or in office? And I mean, that just sounds like a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. That's why we need a lot of money, a lot of help. But that's another thing we need.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. So I'm got this marketing background as well, and I'm like, that's kind of like helped inform this whole thing, because we need the engineer, we need the solution, but we need to be easy to understand. We need somebody that's not politically engaged to pick up their phone and say, this person, what's this person about? And in just a minute or two. And everybody I talk to that is, oh, we have a rating system. And oh, great. What's your rating system? Like, oh, we rate every bill in Congress, and we do this, we do that. I'm like, who the heck is going to look at hundreds of bills and go through? I mean, you guys are too wonky. Everybody's just a wonk. I mean, not everybody's a wonk like you. Like, yeah, we need wonks like people like that doing the analysis. But your everyday person is not going to pick up an app and look through 300 details, and that's going to blow up. So what we did was they said, okay, elementally, we go down to the elements. What is it their job is? Like they're an employee and they have a job, and you take away left and right and red and blue. And I'm my biggest line, I kind of trademark line, is it's not left versus right or red versus blue. It's them versus you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's a shirt, by the way. I'm going to print that on a t-shirt and sell it.
I know. Well, the name of my podcast coming out is Them Versus You.
Okay.
I was trying to think of a name. I'm like, I don't want it to sound too much, nothing against Mark Levin, but if I do liberty versus freedom or liberty versus tyranny, I'm like, that sounds just, you're only going to get like, that audience. So I said, okay, them versus you. So the idea was, okay, so what's their job? You have a job description, right? So you get hired, and your job is what? Well, the first thing you do is they make you swear on the Constitution. So shouldn't that be kind of a thing you monitor if you swear on? I don't know many companies I work for that I can't think of anywhere they make you swear on something. You're swearing. You just
like destroy it. You could piss all over it, like whatever. It's like, come on. It's like that's the part where it's like, I don't even know why they swear to this when they are so clearly ready to like do unconstitutional things left and right. But
yeah, well, it's the same. Like, I'm a Christian, I'm a Catholic. It's like you have the Holy Bible. You treat it with reverence. The priest kisses and on the altar. It's very, very 2,000 years of history. It's very serious. The Constitution is effectively the Bible of America. It's the guide that they all swear on. So even if you're the most left-wing radical, I've talked to people that are very far left-wing, and you get them, they swear on this. This is our country's document. It's all of our laws. It's threaded through everything. You have to say that's got to be a principle, because by definition you swear on it, and they pretty much can't argue against that. So that's one measure. In addition to, basically with that, I'd say, is human rights. I mean, you have to swear on the Constitution, but what if you have a country that has a constitution that thinks it's okay to do bad things to certain classes of people, for example, right? So you have to have basic acceptance of human rights. That's why I've been working on this other separate document, because it doesn't exist in the world right now. So the Constitution and human rights, I mean, you have to follow those basic precepts. And then, as long as it's constitutional and ethical, then I think most people could agree that their job is, as a representative, is you represent the people, which means you do what they effing want you to do. If they want voter ID and 80% want voter ID, what the heck are you doing calling yourself a representative? When you're not representing your people, you're representing your donors or George Soros or maybe some other left or right wing cause. That's not your job, dude. Your job is the Constitution and the will of the people. And then the ethical part is, what if, for God forbid, there's nothing in the Constitution that's unethical, but it's got to be a basic human rights. Okay, that's it. That's your job. And so that's what we figured. That's how we rate people. Elementally, that's what makes it simple. It's actually patent protected. We have an in for patent protection in terms of the
Mm-hmm.
way we rate and our scoring system. So some jerk company coming out to say, "Oh, we got money. We're going to rip these guys off." So that's how we produce the idea for. What do you think of that concept of you work for the Constitution and the will of the people? That elemental is the only way we'll get people on board, because anything more complicated, it gets wonky.
I like it. I like it. I do think that, in my opinion, I mean, and this is probably for like geeks out there like me, it's like I want to know potentially more information as well. It would be, I mean, just my 2 cents is I think what you're talking about is good for the majority of people, which is obviously what you want to do when you start an app. I think eventually for those people that are like, people like me that are going to want to get like details into the nitty gritty, you know what I mean? And, something that we were talking about earlier, like following the money. It's like, where are they getting their money from? That always tells you, like, we do a series, as you know, on America Happens on our platform where this podcast plays, where we essentially go in through people's financial records in terms of where they're getting their donations from, mostly politicians, judges too, by the way. And it often tells you exactly what their agenda is, who owns them, basically. I mean, 99.9% of the time you could tell,
Yes, so that those are all great points, and that's actually going to. We talked about this earlier. We're going to make that that's part of what we call the dirt alert. And so just to be clear, that's the high level picture. They're working for the Constitution, the will of the people. But then we go down to the issues, and we don't let anybody. There's no such thing as a generic, okay, we like this candidate or we don't like this candidate. That doesn't exist. You can only break them down by the issues, because all that matters is within that. So where do the people stand on the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the 10th Amendment, your privacy rights, your Fourth Amendment? Those are all threaded in. We actually take. So the next level down is we say 5 points of opportunity. So five is important because you have five hands, two hands. You have 5 fingers. There's 5 points on the American star. I believe it's the first star in the world to have the 5-point star. That used to be the sign of Christianity the first 400 years. It wasn't always the cross. It was the 5-point star. So the 5-point star is a ton of going back thousands of years, earth, wind, water, and fire and spirit. So the top of the star in the 5-point star is personal opportunity, which is really effectively your constitutional liberties and freedoms and life rights. And then we go and we round out the star to economic opportunity, social opportunity, educational, and national opportunity. So that way we say for the average person, okay, everything fits within one of those 5. Social opportunity, that's healthcare, gay rights, healthcare, welfare and healthcare. And then you look at, educational opportunity, I think is pretty straightforward, right? STEM studies, parental control of the schools, college tuition, free speech on campus. And we look at national opportunity, and that's really everything on the national level. That would be borders and police and elections and the energy and military, supporting our military. And then, of course, economic is kind of very, free markets versus socialism, lower taxes, fraud and waste. Okay. So these are the things that are by the polls, without a doubt, the things that Americans care about most. Okay, so they're all in the score. We make it easy to say, okay, I'm concerned about my main thing is ending CRT in schools. You go right to education, you go right to that point, and then when you go to that point, the magic happens when the ratings team, which we're going to talk about, the special agent force, is doing these ratings, determining where they stand. It's either they're with or against, or it's unknown. It's a 0. We keep it very simple. Not some kind of scale from 1 to 100. We just, are you for or against this principle? And if it's absolutely undetermined or totally mixed, you get the middle, you get the 0. So now we just make it very okay, it's very clear. Most of our politicians, a lot of these times, they're just very upfront. They're for teachers unions. They're against school choice. Smoking, there's the bill, or there's their position on their website. Not a question. And we just go down the list and say, where are they stand for or against? And you get a rating from either -0, -5, which is the worst ever, which means on every issue you're against the Constitution, the will of the people, or +5, which means on every issue you're with the people and the Constitution. And a 0 is a sleeping cat in a chair that just does nothing. And when you're negative, the sleeping cat in a chair is better than you, because that sleeping cat in the chair is not causing you pain, not against you, not hurting you. It's better to have a sleeping cat in a chair, you're doing your job, than you being there making people's lives worse. So that's how we do it. And everyone kind of gets it. It's like, get mad at the American public or the Constitution if you want, but this is just the end result. You're either with the people and the Constitution or against them. And we do go through issue after issue after issue of all the things that matter most to the people. That's
So
kind of
tell me about what was it? What'd you call it? The secret agent team, or?
Yeah, well, I should play you the song. We actually have a song.
Uh-huh.
We peeled from Secret Agent Man. It's called
Oh,
OppScore Agent Man.
okay.
And so to get the details together, we have a system that pulls a certain amount from what we can find in the internet, and we want to create a really strong AI capability to be able to more easily pull this data.
Mm-hmm.
But what we need to have special agents. They're called the OppScore Special Agent Force. We're literally deputizing these agents where they're going to swear on the Constitution and to nonpartisanship. Because believe me, you don't have to fudge it. America First will do good, not because we're biased, because guess what? America First means you're putting American voters in the Constitution first.
Yeah.
It's not like a mystery. So, if you're on our side, your side is going to generally do really well if they're with the people in the Constitution. So we need special agents doing the tracking because there is a manual side to it. There's a little bit of an investigative side to it where you're not only just looking at bills, but sometimes we're also looking at corruption. That's part of what we call the dirt alert, which is another part of the score, which looks at the money trail, but also criminal records. There's a lot of criminals in Congress, if you can believe it. The people with criminal records, everybody should know that. Fraud and corruption. Are they doing illegal stock trades, or where are they getting their money from? Is there anything illegal? And then you have hypocrisy and deception and extremism. So if you're part of any extremist group, whether it's Antifa or maybe the Westboro Baptist Church, which is maybe I wouldn't call them right wing. I don't know what wing they are, but they're crazy. All right, and so we figure that that's not actually part of the numerical score because that's not really that objective. So it's sort of like imagine your resume being the score on the OppScore, and it is a complementary part of it is the dirt alert. That's your character reference. That's your integrity. That's what person is this? Are they lying, fraudulent, blood-sucking vampires? Are they a good person that's working for America? So that's where the dirt alert comes in. That's where the money trail is a big part of that because that's objective. You can look at the money trail and say, okay, here's the money. Here's how they vote. Is that in the court of law? If there's a murder trial, is that a smoking gun? Probably not. But you know what? Preponderance of the evidence, that's the standard for the dirt alert. Are they working for you or against you? If they're taking money from these radical groups and they're voting their way, okay, there you go.
Wow.
If people knew that, they wouldn't be voting for these scumbags if they knew that.
So where are you guys in the development aspect of this? Like, how far is this app from being available? What are you guys up to now in terms of getting it going?
Well, so what we did was we created what we call as kind of like the beta version of it the last election. So we had about 20 people on our team rating people, about 15 to 20 people as our ratings team. We rated a bunch of candidates and races throughout the country. We really focused only on the swing races, the ones that were critical on the state level for governorships, primarily governors, a few AGs and Secretary of State offices, and then like just tons of congressional and Senate races. And we scored them, and it's right now. If you go to oppscore.org or you go to go-usa.us, you go to our website, and there's a link to it, or you can go right to the app, and you'll see oppscore.org. You'll see the scores where we rated them from -5 to +5. And when we say we rated them, we just put the data in. They rated themselves. I mean, objective. It's like this is where you stand on the issues, and we rated them. And we're proud to say that there's over 50 races that we supported. And
oh wow,
we our math shows millions of views on our ratings. There's a lot we didn't even see because people took the graphics. We have these awesome graphics for or against, either for or against the people. We put them side by side. We tested it, and we personally reached, I believe, I don't know, 1 million or 2 million people on Facebook.
wow.
We went to targeted races and targeted states, and Facebook doesn't let you target by political party anymore. They used to. These are generic. We said, ages and male and, women, men, all, we kept it very broad, and we got between 80 to 100% support for everyone that had the better rating.
Wow.
80% plus always for the better score, even in the most mixed, even blue states. It was on average 80, 90%. Some had 100% positive responses. Herschel Walker, he should have won, but his ratings were like, I think all the comments, I didn't see one negative comment that one bad share. So we know it works. It gets to that common sense place, and now we want to take it to the next level. So it is there now, but we haven't started rating people after 2022. We haven't started the ratings yet for the current
So
season.
there's an app that people could download. It's just not like fully functional, I guess, or it's not national, or
No, it is national. We rated over 100 races.
wow.
A couple hundred, more than a couple hundred people. It's on there around. You go to OppScore.org, you can see we have like John F. Kennedy and with some historical people to show, geez, he's a Democrat. He got almost the same score as Reagan. So
Wow.
it proves this is not partisan. It's just that right now the Democrat Party, according to our own numbers, is like the average score is like a negative 1.8, I think, and the average Republican is like a positive 2.8. So you want your people over 3. So the Republican Party average doesn't even hit the threshold for what a voter really should want. America Firsters do much better. AOC and people like that get a negative 3 or worse because they were consistently working against the people's interest.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Not a mobile app; it's a web app. You can go to the website. It looks like a mobile app, but we need to raise money so we can make it super interactive, blockchain backed, secure. We want to have a lot of interactive features, polling. We want to do all that stuff, but we can't do that without raising money from donors.
So what is how much are you guys looking to raise?
We're looking. It's for the app itself is $5 to $6 million in that range. And for GOUSA, we're needing to raise about $2.9 million just to get out there and get the agents going and all that other work. We have agents that are joining us now as volunteers, but we need to get the word out. And honestly, I tell this to people. The last election was almost $10 billion. This next election, just for spending for candidates, is going to end up being. I think the number comes out to about. The last election was about almost $20 million per seat.
Wow.
20 million per seat in
Wow.
America. And by next election, it'll probably be double that.
Wow.
So this is pocket change for one seat. When you look at both sides, the left, the senators and representatives for federal seats, the last election was almost $20 million. Now that's both sides and nonprofits and everybody else involved. So it's
all that.
We're looking, people say that's a lot of money. That's nothing. We're going to change. It's going to be 1/3,000 to 1% is what we're asking. So we can change all of politics in America if we do this right. But we need more than that in the future to really start supporting these races and getting the scores out everywhere. But with a few $1 million, we can make a huge dent.
What do you think? What do you think the future holds for our politics? I mean, with the way things are going, obviously something like this should be helpful. But I mean, what do you see as the kind of future of where this country's heading right now?
Well, it's interesting. So the scoring system, which was a big eye opener, because when I ran in the bluest state in the country in Massachusetts against a scumbag named Seth Moulton, I'll call him a scumbag all day long because he is, and not just because I ran against him, but he's a lying fraudulent. He wouldn't debate me. He slandered me. He's an example of the creeps that are in Washington right now.
It's interesting, by the way. This whole not debating thing is a very interesting new phenomenon, and it seems as though most of the people not debating somehow end up winning, which makes no sense. But
actually, it makes sense from the perspective of evil, because from their perspective, the thing about the OppScore is the more people talk about the issues, the more our side in America wins every time. Because on the issues, 4 out of 5 people, that number 80%, we call one of our taglines is the forgotten 80%. The forgotten, that little tiny number called 80%. They're forgotten 80%. But that's what you look at the current administration. They care about that fringe 0.01% of people that are trans. And that's more important than the 80% that don't want men walking into women's bathrooms and women's shelters and prisons and raping other women because they say they're women when they're men. I mean, I have friends that are trans that are against that. You don't have to be born yesterday. You know, it's a bad idea, right?
Yeah. So, and by the way, I mean, is it worth mentioning you're Catholic and you're am I allowed to say you're gay and stuff?
Yeah, I'm a gay is a $2 bill. $2 bill. I joke to say that because Thomas Jefferson, they say that the $3 bill. But
I mean, you're talking about your unique experiences and stuff, man. And I just always respect people that we have these stereotypes in our head that are put in by the mainstream media that, it's like Republicans are the party of we all hate gays and, we're white supremacists and all that. And it's really refreshing to see somebody that's their own kind of mold, and you're not you're yeah, you're just doing your thing, you know, and standing as an example out there. I mean, that's really cool.
Well, I appreciate that. And actually, I'm just doing what, like, again, I'm like, I swear to God, I do believe that there is something to do with the blood of Jefferson, because my family,
Hmm.
over 100 people, my extended family on my mother's side, there's like one or two that are somewhat on the left.
Hmm.
No one else. Like, I mean, talking about cousins and nephews and all, they're all like, it's just like the blood prohibits that kind of mentality, because I don't know whether it's that or not, but I just know that, like, I'm like my God and my country first, and I think I'm a Star Trek fan before I call myself gay. I mean, like, it's like, and I
Yeah,
mean the old Star Trek before it turned socialist and communist, but the old
yeah,
classic Captain Kirk, shoot first and ask questions later. But the
yeah.
idea is, I had so much hell. I have had people. I think one of the reasons why some of the other people I know that are gay, that are the biggest fighters, because the country club Republican thing, everything's fine, no worries. I was sounding the alarm when I wrote a book in 2016 called Cues for Conservatives to take down rules for radicals, saying we are at a crisis. Young people are leaving the Republican Party and all these things,
Hmm.
and they're just deaf ears, and country club Republicans never had a real fight. I'm like,
Yeah.
I had death threats. I had guys threatening to murder me. I had a guy who was in Provincetown, Massachusetts, who wanted to blow my brains out.
Hmm.
I mean, literally death threats. I mean, and people that have gotten physical
Because you're a Republican?
because I'm gay. Yeah, because I'm gay and conservative. Ever hear the Human Rights Campaign, HRC?
No.
HRC, they have the yellow equal sign and the blue box.
Yeah, yeah.
They're all over. They are a hardcore.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally. Yeah. Now I remember. Yeah.
They're
The
the
yellow,
number
yellow,
one,
blue.
they're
Yeah.
the number one authority on gay rights. First of all, they have nothing to do with gay anymore. They
Hmm.
are anti-gay. The LGBTQ thing is actually homophobic. It is
Okay.
homophobic. It's actually against gays. It's only for child transgendering. But I just went in there and said, "Where's all the shirts? I see all these things for Biden and Harris. There were Democrats everywhere." I said, "Is there a shirt for me in here?" I said,
That's
"Where's
funny.
the Trump stuff? I don't see. Is this a Democrat store or is this a LGBTQ store?" They
Yeah.
yelled and screamed and berated me. A guy came out back and raced in front of me. He was like sweating, screaming, and saying, "You should be shot dead. You should be
Mhm.
shot dead right now. For anybody
Really?
that supports Trump or is a Republican in this store, this town should be shot dead right to my face."
Wow.
He
Wow.
threatened to shoot me. Literally, if he had a
Wow.
gun, he probably would have pulled it out.
Yeah.
So
Did you say?
that's what I get when I get death threats from these lefty lunatics. And did they apologize? They're owned by the Democrat Party. It's a front. The HRC is a complete front. It has nothing to do with gay rights. It's about Democrat
Yeah.
power. Period.
They're like literally like their minds are fizzling because they just can't comprehend that you're a Republican, basically.
Yeah, it's just they say, how could you? They say they have things like, how could you be gay and be a Republican? I'm like, how could you cross the street and not get hit by a car with a brain like that? Like,
Yeah,
how
yeah,
could
yeah,
you,
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I
yeah.
have a soul and you don't. Like, so how do you operate? How do you cross the street? How do you open your computer with a brain like that? Because I care about freedom and liberty, and you care about fascism, Marxism, all because gay rights has nothing to do with gay rights anymore. So anyway, it's the kind of thing that in our OppScore system, when I bring it back to that, you might like this. So we have, for social opportunity, we have equal rights for all, which is an
Hmm.
important thing. Everybody should have equal rights, whether you're Christian or Jewish or Muslim or whatever, right? Or whether you're black or white, or whether you're gay or
Yeah,
straight,
yeah.
but not special rights for some.
Hmm.
When you have the whole
Yeah.
diversity, equity, inclusion,
Hmm.
we don't call it out by name, but it is called out as a violation of human rights and a violation of human rights. And it's in,
When you give special rights.
yeah, because when you discriminate against, that's a problem. But when you advocate for, then you're
Hmm.
automatically discriminating against. So when you
Mm.
advocate for women, then you're advocating against men, and you
Exactly.
advocate for, and it's just the way it works. You just keep it, when you don't push and you don't pull and you don't advocate for or discriminate against, and you just go by the character and the person, and you take that stuff away. That is what America is supposed to be. That's what the Civil Rights Act of 1964 is supposed to mean. But the
Hmm.
Democrats and the left think it's okay to bash whites and bash Christians and bash men, or it's okay to just hardcore support gays, but
Hmm.
that means you're automatically discriminating against straight people. So
Exactly.
that's the reason why in our score, it comes two ways. So part of the score is, are you for equal rights for all? Yes. But are you
Mhm.
for special rights for some, which is discrimination? And you lose the point on that. And every Democrat, almost every Democrat loses that. And they're really bigots because they're anybody that supports advocacy for a certain group is automatically supporting discrimination against the other group. But they're dumb people. They're not right people. They're evil geniuses in the sense they got power, but they're
Mhm.
really dumb when it comes to like understanding what civil rights are.
Yeah, and the depth. I mean, they just don't think like the issue I've had is like they don't see shades of gray. They don't see like beyond one layer of the onion when they're considering ideas. Yeah, sure. I mean, it's great. Like, some of the ideas on their surface, it's great. But like once you peel the surface, you're like, oh, like that's actually a road to tyranny.
That's right. That's right. And that's why, like, the beautiful thing about the scoring system as we did the scores, I kept like my eyes were exploding out of my head. I'm like, here's
Mhm.
that number again, 50, like 60, like 70, 80, 90% for people want equal rights. Okay. That very high number, but there's also a majority of people that don't want this left-wing discrimination. Okay. And when it comes to like healthcare,
Mhm.
Republicans lose on it in the sense there's a majority that don't want any public. The 70% of the public wants private health care, but wants the option for government assisted health care if you can't
Mhm.
afford your private health care. And that's like three quarters. Again, that number, three quarters, 70, 75%.
Mhm.
So that's where sometimes Republicans lose because a lot of Republicans say if you let any of that government stuff in outside of Medicare for the older right now, then it's going to open up the whole floodgates and blah, blah, blah. There will be no private health insurance. But on the other hand, only 10% of people support the left's. When they hear Medicare for all, it sounds nice. But when they learn that it will eliminate private health care, which it will, then 90% are against it. So
Wow.
Republicans should be smart about that and say Medicare for all will eliminate your private health care. And now you get 90% on your side on that. And
Mhm.
that's how we rate these things. We say, where do the people stand as long as it's constitutional? If it's not constitutional, we don't care whether 51% or anything, because all that matters is the Constitution. Free speech rights.
Mhm.
I don't care who you offend. It's not about offensive speech. It's about what's legal to say. As long as it's not pushing violence or defamation against somebody or child pornography, then it should be allowed. And
Mhm.
in Europe, you go to jail if you criticize. There's a woman I know a woman in Europe that's a well-known woman. What's her name? I forget her name, but she's Elizabeth Satchel Wolf, I believe her name is.
Mhm.
She was put in jail and fined because she said Madame Muhammad had a 9-year-old wife, and he did. It's right. It's
Yeah, he
strange
did. Yeah, yeah. It's
because
just
she
crazy,
insinuated
man.
he was a pedophile because he
Yeah.
was. In Europe, you go to jail for saying the truth. The truth is no defense in
Yeah.
Europe.
Well, I mean, it's there's a big conversation there. There's a big conversation there about the effects of, mass immigration, changing of laws, having, basically areas where they could basically, really push their own agendas. And I'm not saying this is against Islam or anything. I'm just saying like there's a law of the land, and it's sad that the law of the land seems to be getting changed because of political interests.
Yeah, well, the thing is this. I mean, I've studied Islam for a long time, and not to get off track, but there's political Islam in Europe. They actually separate it.
Yeah.
European countries are in the thick of it much more than we are here because they have a lot of influx of Muslim immigrants.
Mhm.
Political Islam, radical Islam is not a religion. It's a political ideology. 70% of the Quran is political, not religion. You
Yeah.
take just the section out, the 30% based upon their own words and their own religious documents that's religious, that's to be protected all day long. But when you pull in this Trojan horse of politics and militarism,
Yeah.
and that's no longer doesn't have the protection of religion because that
Yeah,
is not
exactly.
religion. That's
Indisputable history, like what you said with the 9-year-old, and I mean, if that is indisputable history, I mean, like nobody could touch that, in my opinion. And
Yeah,
according to the Constitution.
there is no in Europe. There is no defense if you offend somebody. They call that hate speech, and they can ban it. And that's why in American law, it's protected. And the new Bill of Rights I'm working on, which is inspired by my uncle Thomas my sixth generation great uncle Thomas Jefferson. I'm not that my uncle, he's my sixth generation. We fleshed that out to be what is the First Amendment. And we have it full throttle, like freedom of assembly, not in the
Mhm.
Constitution, but in this freedom of association, freedom of scientific inquiry.
Mm.
That's not in the Constitution, but that's in Article 1 of this new Global Bill of Rights. Because you question the vaccines, they throw you in jail and they ban you and you lose your job. That would be protected right, scientific inquiry. The world wasn't flat and they were thrown in jail for that. It's the same thing happening over again. So we took this and said we need to have for the OppScore rating system, we have to have an understanding what human rights even are. And we took a very, very Jeffersonian liberty kind of approach to it and put this together. So then we have another great sort of measuring stick. Like, are you for human rights? Wait a minute. Human rights include absolute freedom of religion, absolute freedom of speech, not the left-wing version of it.
Yep. Awesome, brother. Awesome. Is there anything in closing that you'd like to mention, speak about, websites, whatever you got?
Yeah. Well, thank you for asking. And absolutely, because, all right. So the big picture is this. People say, how much is this going to move the needle? A $500 billion industry called entertainment used to tell us what shows to watch and what movies to watch. And they would all go in like clucking chickens or sheep. And whatever they said was a good movie, according to the critics, people would go and they'd make all their money back at the box office, no matter how bad the movie was, until this little $1 million website called Rotten Tomatoes came along and just aggregated the average score from the viewers, which is actually, we find it to be accurate because it's very often opposite of the critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. That now is the most respected and feared and to the studios loathed website in all of Hollywood, because they can put all this money in and try to push their message. And all these woke TV shows and movies are doing terrible. They're doing terrible because the people say, no, we don't want to be preached to by you left-wing lunatics. And the movies fail. And finally, Hollywood's getting it. But that's the only thing that's keeping them in line. And the same with Yelp or Angie's List or you name it. There's these ratings that make. So if this works out the way we see it working out, and it's a trusted source, because we're having agents. That's another thing that it mentions. We need agents. We need 100 agents. You're going to get a number like James Bond, 007, okay? You're going to get a number. And you're going to have it assigned about 15 people you're going to track with another partner. And we're going to have the eyes and the ears, and you'll be citizen raters. You have to show the evidence, the smoking gun. You put it in there. It's going to be bulletproof. It's what will be the most trusted source for information in politics in America. It's built to be that way. There's nothing else out there like it. So what I could say is, please go to go-usa.us to learn about it. Check out the OppScores. You can hit the button and check out the OppScores. You could also sign up to help us volunteer with fundraising, social media, but also to join our special agent force. It sounds really fun. It sounds a little sexy. It's fun. It's work. But you're going to be the eyes and the ears for America, because you're going to be the one that's going to be collecting this data. We have checks and balances to make sure only accurate, truthful data goes up to the OppScore system. And now if that gets the people get on it and gets eyes, and we get enough OppScore agents, it all comes together, this has the potential to be the number one, like, watering hole, like the water cooler, whatever they call it, for politics, because it's going to be unfiltered voice of the people. And that's what the goal is. So what do you think about that? That's what we're doing. That
sounds awesome. Honestly, it sounds like it's one of those ideas where it's like you think like it should have already been out there, but I think that's been part of our elitist politics, is there's not really been a bridge. And I think this bridge between the people, it's only been like a decade and a half where I feel like people have actually started getting involved to a point where we something like this would be extremely valuable. So amazing work, brother. Thank you for, putting the hard work to put this together. And I've worked on apps. I know how hard it is, and I know how hard fundraising is. So, God bless you, and best of luck. We need it. So hopefully it all comes together,
Yeah, I appreciate that. And we really hope that people do go to our website and sign up and become, we want agents all around the country. We don't want to be, I'm headquartered in Boston. We're all over the place. I was in California talking to the GOP in California and Florida and Ohio. And we are a national organization, but we don't want to have people that I know around here rating people in darn Texas. We want people in Texas doing that. So we're asking, 100 is not a big number, but you will be spending a few hours a week tracking your politicians and being the eyes and ears. When this takes off, you're going to be part of this big success story where I believe, as bad as things are, 4 to 5 people are on our side of the issues. We just have to take that huge advantage and make it work for us. We're on the side of the Constitution, the will of the people. That means we're going to win this thing. Sic semper tyrannis means in the end, the tyrants will always lose, or worse. I don't know. Tyrants never survive over history. They never, ever, ever, ever survive if they're tyrannical over the people.